switching gears a bit, I spoke to an Olympic figure skater about something traumatic that happened in his life.
He tells us how that has inspired him to help others before they go through the same thing.
Well, an MRI is a valuable diagnostic tool to capture images of the inside of the body. These scans are used to diagnose a variety of conditions, including stroke, cancer, and Alzheimer's disease. But there are a number of life-saving heart devices that aren't compatible with MRIs today. Well, we are talking with Paul Wylie today, 1992 Olympic silver medalist and cardiac arrest survivor. Paul, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
And thank you.
Well, I'd love to start kind of with your personal story, Paul. Tell us about the incident that you went through.
So in April of 2015, I was out running early in the morning with a bunch of my buddies, and we were doing some sprints, and my heart started to beat out of control, and then it stopped and I collapsed. So two of my friends did CPR on me, and then the medics and paramedics came from the hospital, and they revived me. And then I was put into a coma for 2 days and cooled into therapeutic hypothermia. I awoke from that coma, and after about 5 more days, they gave me one of these devices. And so I got an ICD, which is an implantable cardioverter defibrillator. So the defibrillator will shock my heart if it ever goes again into that same kind of very fast heartbeat, and so prevent me from getting sudden cardiac arrest in the same way I did on that day. Well, so I feel very fortunate.
I'm sure this was such a shock, Paul. I mean, you're such a healthy guy, very athletic, as I said, an Olympian. So this must have just been such a shock. So I'm so happy that you're here to talk to us today, because I know one of the things we want to talk about is MRIs and why are they so important in a situation like this?
Well, so MRIs are important in healthcare today because they are the gold standard of imaging. So if I wanted to see inside of my body, you know, if there was an ACL tear or some tendon that I had, you know, messed up, or even if I was looking for cancer or Alzheimer's or signs of a stroke, I would need to use, you know, look inside. The best way of looking inside really would be that MRI. But the problem with the device that I have is that, you know, it reacts with the magnets in a way that messes up the device or my heart. So the device that I have is not quite MRI conditional, but now Medtronic has come out with this device. You can see how small it is. It's amazing. It's called the SureScan, and it is actually compatible with an MRI. So going forward, people don't have to make this trade-off between MRI imaging and the cardiac care that they need.
Which is such a relief to so many people, Paul. Tell us a little bit about how that works.
Well, I'm no physicist or cardiologist, but in terms of, you know, what my understanding of this little unit and how the MRI works with it, I think that there's, you know, much less metal in it than may have been in this one, so the magnets don't react with it. But so I think that's, you know, one of their innovations and inventions. How it works for me is, in 8 to 11 years, when it's replacement time for my device, I'm going to beg my doctor for one that's MRI resistant. And I just am here asking for folks to ask their physician you know, to think about, you know, can I get one that's MRI compatible?
Absolutely. And that's really what we're here talking about today. The fact that this is so important, that we do have these devices that are MRI compatible. I mean, these sudden cardiac arrests are more common than maybe people think out there, wouldn't you say?
Yes. I mean, 450,000 Americans every year die of sudden cardiac arrest. So I'm very happy to be, you know, part of the 5% that survive. And, you know, it's hard to even think about those numbers and the way that that impacts lives and families. I know how I think about how it would have impacted my family, and it's very humbling. So, you know, obviously, if you have an indication for sudden cardiac arrest, and you might not even know that you have one, but go to your physician, go to your your yearly physical and ask your physician, do I have any of these indications? Do I have long QT syndrome? They may refer you to a specialist, a cardiologist who can look into that. But definitely, if you have any shortness of breath or any of these other issues where your heart's racing, or you might feel dizzy in a workout, tell your doctor about those things so that they can then look into that and maybe put a monitor on you. And at that point, if they decide that it's worth getting one of these devices, then ask them for an MRI-resistant one.
Well, Paul, I think it's so great that you came on today to kind of bring awareness to this issue. Before I let you go, where can we go for more information?
Sure, medtronic.com/MRI heart devices.
Great. Well, Paul,
Medtronic.com/MRI heart devices.
Thank you. I'm glad you said it twice. No, it's such a pleasure to have you on again today. I want to thank you so much for sharing your personal stories and for chatting with us today.
Thank you so much.
Now stay where you are. We have more after the break.